Hey, I'm Gabi Motuba. I am a singer, composer, and just artist, creative. The name of my album is The Sabbath, and it just got released on the 1st of December. And today we're just going to do a deep dive into the first track, which is the Black Adhan. On this track, it is myself on vocals and Reza Kota on guitar. Well, what we're talking about today is we're having a little bit of insight into the different compositions. Today, I'm going to be focusing on the Black Adhan, which is track 1. Well, an adhan is a call to prayer. It's in the Muslim tradition, and the adhan is the song that ring from their towers every time there's a call to prayer. Different denominations have different call to prayers. The Christian community have the bells, the Jewish community have the trumpets. So I was particularly interested in this one because it is in the form of a song, and I am a singer. I wanted to speak about this idea of a call to prayer, but looking at Black people and having specific calls to prayer for Black life. Yeah. So vocally, what happens in the track is it's an improvised piece. There is a kind of a vocal motif that I use and that I expand on. I use that song to kind of mark the different sounds that I hear on an everyday basis, and I kind of use that song as like referencing all these different sounds, which of course relate to like all these different geographical spaces, but also that relate to like all the different influences of myself as a vocalist. So Reza is featured on this track, and he's doing a guitar improvisation over it. He also references this motif that we kind of have as the foundation of the track, and he expands on it in various ways. The conversation between Reza and it kind of speaks to the beginnings of sound, in relation to my question, but also in relation to the composition in and of itself and to the project. It's kind of a door into the sound of the whole project, because I wanted to focus on the texture of the sounds as opposed to instruments. So the different instruments bring kind of a similar texture. So when stripped down, these are very much the two textures that I'm thinking about. And Reza is able to also achieve this on his guitar. So yes, when I speak about the different textures that kind of encompass the project or a part of the project, specifically on the song, I, as a vocalist, am influenced by a lot of different sounds. And that was kind of like the main question going into this project, was what it is that I hear, and what is it that my voice like naturally gravitates towards making. So these, these sounds that I hear are like operatic sounds, of course, the texture of kind of church singing and belting. Also, these kind of very indigenous sounding sounds, like, the sounds that we hear a lot of great singers making that are South African, specifically, like Botanisa Mazwai, this kind of like growling sounds that exist in a lot of like traditional South African music, if you can think about it in that way. So my interest was, referencing all these sounds and and kind of like, really looking into the influence of what is possible within maybe like my oral perception. I was deliberately trying to understand what it is that I hear, because I think that, what it is that I hear is like a door into what it is that I'm able to create. Yeah, this was kind of like the experiment also, not just in the song, but with like the whole project. I really tried to um, vocally push my kind of vocal range as much as I can. So, because also in this track there was so much space, I was able to do that without, interfering with any of the other instruments. Like I say, Reza also, the way he plays, it's also so, there's like a very large capacity for, either one of us to explore. So, I could I could experiment vocally, in the lower register and the higher register. He could do the same. But there was kind of like, a sense of a very large capacity. So I think I managed to get as far as I could vocally, in terms of my range, in terms of what I wanted to explore. What people can expect when listening is the referencing of many different genres. So of course, there's the texture of the South African sound, of the African sound, and there's also this texture of kind of like the Middle East, the introduction of like the harmonic minor. I like to reference that in my music as well. Um, there's the classical sounding approach, there's a jazz approach, there's improvisation. So I think listeners can really expect kind of, a really vast soundscape. This was one of the intentions that I had, especially because of the way I sing. So this album really, in the center of it all, is my singing ability, and just being able to write music around what it is that I'm able to create vocally. When it comes to singing, I think over the years, what I've come to learn was, the ability for a singer to be able to produce a sound. Actually, a lot of that lies within the ability of one to hear a sound. So, and I think that this is what just differentiates singers from doctors, scientists, whatever. It's just the interest to actually want to find out where to create that sound within the body. I say this because also, during my formative years of learning how to sing, my vocal lessons were really not about um, making me a singer, but rather interrogating the parts where I wasn't quite comfortable with the sound that I was creating. So when I'd get into vocal class, of course, they'd introduce a song for me. My vocal teacher would say, sing the song. And I'd learn it and then I'd present it to him. And while I was singing the song, we'd identify places where, like I said, it was uncomfortable to hear those sounds. And the majority of the lesson would actually be in finding out what best way to sing that sound. And also what best way to sing that sound, in the sense that what what am I referencing? What does that sound like already in the world? And how am I, you know, where does it resonate with me, in the sense that, like, is it part of my chest voice? Is it my nasal, which register is the sound most comfortable? So, because I'm informed by this kind of way of vocalizing, um, it's also informed, you know, of course, the kind of music that I compose, but also it informs that, it is not necessarily about genre specific music that I'm interested in, but rather, like, there's always a potential for exploration. Because, like I say, if I hear something, there is the potential that I'm able to create that sound, but it might not, it I might not figure it out, you know, um, and that is because maybe I might not have a good teacher around, or I may just have other things going on, but that is my inquiry, is, what is it that I hear? And I mean, this is like a multi-layered onion, so with every project, I think I'm able to peel off, different layers of sound that is possible. So I don't think this will ever end. I will always be kind of trying to peel away, and finding out how to create the sounds that make up, my voice. I think it's very much a recreation. I think, even just thinking about the Adhan, and listening to that sound and listening to those prayers, um, that is also being referenced. Those that scale, that particular scale, that particular way of singing, that particular texture. So I think that there is a lot of familiarity that we were able to capture. The beautiful thing is that we're creating a new composition, but we're actually just using, existing sounds to be able to expound on this already existing frequency. So yeah, I don't think we've invented anything, ironically. I think that, we really held a lot of space for the actual thing to exist outside of the familiar context. And I think that's what's innovative, is that just people are not used to hearing those sounds in this context, but those sounds are very, very familiar, um, to the general public. I guess maybe I can speak a little bit about the research that I did, in referencing, this Eastern sound. So for a few years, I was checking out, this, some of the scales that are specific to, kind of this Eastern music, or it's Indian sound. So I was able to do that, through practicing that, I was able to also create this motif that you hear. So, yeah, in recent years, I have been doing quite a lot of, looking into those scales. And I think that has also had quite a big influence in, the sound that we were able to create. And I guess also because I am teaching, and these are some of the scales that my students have to look at. So it's been good to kind of revisit the sound. So I've been revisiting it in different ways over the years. Yeah, I did struggle to be able to, like you say, move between these sounds, between these different textures. And I needed to figure out how to warm up quite well, or else what my voice tended to do was to crack during a performance. So obviously, I've had a lot more experience in the way that I desire to sing, and I've had to also think about how to prepare. So I warm up quite a bit, and I warm up just like a normal kind of R&B singer would, or a singer who's about to belt. Even though I don't use belting throughout the throughout my performances, it of course, because I kind of warm up to accommodate the larger capacity. So I kind of warm up for the big ranges, if because when I'm singing softly or not so strong, my voice can handle that. But the problem is when I really, really, move into, the very edges of my voice. This is where the problem comes in. So I've had to, find vocal techniques and warm up techniques that can hold, if I really go into my very high register, and opposite direction as well, if I really go into my lower register, that I'm able to kind of support my voice in those two areas. And then everything else in the middle is taken care of. It's okay. I think it's a different genre. Um, I think that I think it's no genre as well, because like I say, I do reference, there is a lot of familiarity, but it's kind of just out of context and out of place. So yeah, when I'm thinking about a particular category, I mean that's also not how I think about music, and I don't create according to category. Um, I think I'm very versatile in that way, that I don't feel married to any particular genre. But if I were to place the Black Adhan, I think I think it would occupy, like, maybe an umbrella category of improvised music. I think that that kind of category can hold a lot of different things that I'm trying to achieve in this song. Yeah.